Hi there, it's Gabrielle Nicolay from Speechkids, where we teach little kids to talk and we help parents understand their little kids. And today I'm very excited, and I can't believe we've never done this. I'm talking to Christina Bradley, who is the Speechkids practice manager. I should really call her the practice goddess. Christina, I'm very happy that you consented to do this interview. Thank you.
Well, I thought it would be important for you to get to know me better.
Actually, why don't you tell the good folks watching how we know each other and how you came to be the practice manager of Speechkids?
So my now 13-year-old son, I know, I'll back up even more a little bit. When my firstborn was 18 months, I knew something was up and started him with speech therapy. And we did speech therapy for about 6 months. And I didn't feel like it was making a difference, or that I had a greater understanding of what was going on, or that I was seeing changes. And I was frustrated because I didn't know, the speech therapist was lovely. I didn't know what else to do. I was doing the thing I was supposed to be doing, but it wasn't making a difference. So I talked with the practice, and I, expressed my concerns, and they said, we've got someone to refer you to. And that's how I found Gabrielle. And we had our first appointment with Gabrielle how old was he at our first appointment? Like 2?
2-ish, yeah, like 2 years.
Okay. And she came in and it was just like, whoa. Honestly, I was like, oh my God, it can be like this. He really connected with her. She immediately was able to explain to me in a really accessible way what she thought was going on, what the causes were, how to address them. It was just like this whole other experience. And then, of course,
I here and just say, it was the same on my end. Like,
well,
your house.
You appeared to like him.
Okay. Understatement of the year.
You appear to enjoy him.
Your child, your firstborn child in particular, is one of my all-time, like, star maker, career maker kids. He really, no, in all seriousness, he really is.
Well, he doesn't connect to just anybody. So it was like a really big deal to see that connection happening. And that has sort of remained true his whole life, actually, now that I think about it. Like, you got to really have it going on for him to really bother connecting with you. He's not going to waste his time on fluff.
Right, he can spot the bullshit a mile away.
Absolutely.
And this is true of a lot of our clients, which we're going to talk about this too. But he in particular, your number one is like, he has the bullshit detector built in. He's like, don't treat me.
It's a genetic thing, I gotta say.
The apple tree. Anyway, continue. I just wanted to jump in there because the feeling was entirely mutual. Like, I got to your house and I was like, oh yes, these are my people. This is my child. We're gonna do some magnificent work here.
Yeah.
And
it was just amazing to watch how really good speech therapy can be, because I was on a learning curve. I had no idea. Like, I didn't know that it could make such a dramatic difference. And so that was just amazing. And also just knowing that someone else gets your kid as well as you do, that's a rare thing, like really gets them. So Gabrielle worked with him for a few years, and it just made a huge difference, and really helped in my understanding of him and sort of how he works. And then, of course, Gabrielle, I kind of adored Gabrielle also,
You did kind of fall in love.
And Gabrielle has this thing where when kids get to a certain age, she just gets like, she falls too hard in love with them, and it's hard for her to, so anyway, he kind of graduated from Gabrielle, basically. at a certain age. And that was when Gabrielle was like, hey, my practice is really busy and I don't have time to do the phone thing. And you have this social work background. And what do you think about sort of part-time taking the calls for Speechkids and being that frontline person? And I was like, oh my God, yes, 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 yes.
Remind me again, because you have a social work background, but you also have done like a lot of
I've run national hotlines. Yeah.
Right. Is that like customer service? That's a weird name for it. It's
nonprofit hotline kind of things. Not so much customer service, but more issue oriented.
Right, like crisis management, triage, like listening to problems and figuring out what they need, which is what you do for Speechkids now. As
a parent, when my kid was little, I didn't know what to do. Like, I felt so helpless. I knew that he had challenges, but I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to prioritize. I didn't know what the resources were. So Gabrielle giving me the opportunity to be able to give that to parents on a silver platter and like tell them what all their options are when there's really nowhere else to get that. It was like, yes, yes, yes. It played into my experience as a parent, my experience with social work, empowering other parents. It's just been such a joy. I can't even tell you, such a joy.
So awesome.
I love it.
And it's been how long now? Like 8 years or something?
Well, my son's 13.
So more than that, like
more.
Yeah. So yeah, I can remember when I hired you and I was like, oh my God, these phone messages are not waiting 5 days for me to get back to people. Like people were hearing back from somebody who was, and here was the part that I had a little challenge with at first, which is you're not a speech therapist, right?
No.
And I was like, well, how are we going to like bridge this gap between like, how can you do the intakes? Because you don't know. Well, it turns out, first of all, you do know.
Well, I mean, when you're a parent, there's a learning curve, and I was relatively far along it by the time that you hired me. So, and then I'm not an SLP. I joke to the clients I'm a pseudo SLP at this point, and any parent who's not green really gets that because you have to do so many different therapies and you just learn the ropes.
Yeah. And you really dig down. I mean, when people call the number, they get a message, but then you are calling people back and really walking them through like a lot of different information, much of which doesn't even include working with us.
Right. And that's the thing about Speechkids that just like, it makes me so happy. I think we're really unique and that, you get to talk to a real person. I really spend the time giving you what you need. And it's about talking about your options and your choices and educating you and empowering parents and many parents have never spoken to someone who has a child with issues. And there's such a huge feeling of isolation in that. Like you got to find your people to survive it as a parent. And so it just hits so many spots for me that are so meaningful. Yeah, I just love it.
And you listen, like I hear from parents all the time, you listen with so much compassion, you listen with so much knowledge, yes, but warmth and support. And it's like,
I got goosebumps. It just is so meaningful to me,
I do too. No, I do. Because when somebody comes into the practice, like, and it sounds a little hokey or weird to say that there is, that the practice itself has a mood and has a character. And yet I feel like it does. When people come in, they are greeted with compassion and love and support and understanding of children and the difficulties that happen. And you are like this beautiful extension of that. And it trickles down into our therapists, into the whole mood. And so when you come in, it's like this.
It's sort of a ridiculous love fest, I have to say. Yeah. For me, anyway. I mean, I know sounds hokey, but yeah,
No,
it really is.
And we hear from our clients. You know, I hear from them about you. You hear from them about the therapist and about me sometimes. You know, and it's this positive sort of feedback loop, which is it's really lovely, because that's why we're doing this to begin with.
Well, and I mean, I can literally say to parents, Gabrielle worked with my kids. That's why I work with her. You know, I mean, it's really that simple, and it's not some sales tactic. It's the truth. And I think that means a lot to parents, as long as they don't think I'm trying to sell them something. And you know, that's really not our MO at all. So, I mean, I'm giving them all their options.
Right. And it's about fit, right? So people call, they get to talk to you, they decide if it's a fit, and if they want to try, they go forward. Can you tell me something, because it's been a while since I've heard it too. You are managing the therapists at this point, and we have a team of usually somewhere between 8 and 10 therapists. What are you doing on the back end?
Well, I get to do sort of the initial part of the hiring. I get to find these amazing people, and you know, I can say with all honesty, we don't hire anyone I wouldn't allow to work with my own children. I mean, what more can I say than that?
But you're also managing them a little bit, aren't you?
Well, I don't know about that, but I mean, I'm a resource. I'm definitely a resource.
But in terms of you're matching clients.
Oh yeah.
Therapists. I mean,
that's fun for me too, because you know, we have like a dozen therapists. They all have different areas of expertise. They all have different areas that they like, types of challenges that they love to work with, and I try to feed that. You know, like if I know that one of our therapists loves working on social communication, social pragmatics, I'm going to try to get them kids where that's the issue, because that's going to make them the happiest, you know? So that's kind of fun too, really knowing how to fit people together correctly.
And that is something like so here's the part that evades me, which is like, you have, I presume, a list somewhere of like everybody who works for us, and all the, you know, their skills and what they want, and their schedule. Like that's a whole other thing.
Oh yeah.
That you do, which is, and you do.
Everybody has a different schedule too. That's fun. And some people are licensed in different states, and so
you keep track of all of that, and for that, like that piece alone,
and it changes all the time.
It changes all the time, every day, and that piece alone is worth so much goodness. And then,
well, it's so funny because I can do it in my sleep now, you know.
Oh my God. And I could never do it.
Well, I mean, you know, you play to your skills and I play to mine, and it's a beautiful fit.
Yeah, it is. And I think, you know, the fact that we've been doing this for so long means.
Well, it feels like we're practically related at this point, you know. I mean, we know each other pretty well. Warts and all.
Yeah. Thank you for agreeing to do this. I know this is not usually your
not my usual. I prefer to stay hidden.
I like to be behind the scenes. So I appreciate this chance to get you in the spotlight. And I'm going to talk to you later, but I know that everybody watching will have appreciated this. So thank you.
Oh, well, thanks. It was fun.
Yay.